Hello my friends, this is Electron Rider, my name's Tyson, and today we are checking out the Yadea ElitePrime scooter. Now Yadea describes this scooter as the scooter of urban SUV. Now what that means, your guess is as good as mine. And while I could make an entire video poking fun at Yadea's website, the grammatical errors, the awkwardly phrased sentences, I gotta be honest with you, this is actually a pretty sweet scooter. Let's take a look at it here. It's a very futuristic, minimalist style scooter, really designed for urban commuting, adventuring, city streets. This is not something that you're going to want to take off-road, even though the suspension is actually better performing than this on some of the off-road scooters I have ridden recently. It's really designed for in town, and it's built well. It's got so many just convenience and utility features that are really finely honed. I mean, you can tell that this is made by a company that knows what they're doing. Yadea is one of the bigger names in electric scooters. They make, in addition to push or kick electric scooters like this, they make seated electric scooters, full-size ones, other electric vehicles, and all kinds of stuff. So they really know what they're doing. They use really high-quality materials, and we're talking like aviation-grade aluminum in here. Their batteries are UL certified, which means they're extremely safe, and that's really awesome to see that they're taking those kind of precautions. Now it does cost a bit more. You're looking at $1,500 for this scooter if you buy it new, which is a little bit pricier than some, but you get a lot for that $1,500. So without further ado, let's just dive in and talk about this. We'll do kind of an overview on it first here. So we've got a 10-inch platform here, 10-inch wheels, 2.7 inches wide, fairly standard for scooters. So these do a decent job in town, but they're not they're not really big diameter, so they're not going to smooth out bumps as effectively as, like, say, a bicycle might. But these are some pretty premium wheels on here. These tires are tubeless. They are self-healing, so if you get a puncture, they will just seal it automatically, so you can ride with a lot more confidence. They have this nice water braking tread on here, so they'll do well even if it's raining. You've got a single motor on this scooter, a rear hub motor back here. This is an 800-watt motor, but it peaks at 1,500 watts, which is pretty impressive, and it feels very zippy. Yeah. Now the motor is speed capped at about 19 miles per hour, 30 kilometers per hour, which is a good speed for in cities. Now it is definitely a good fit for cities that have some infrastructure to allow scooters, whether that's dedicated bike and scooter vehicle lanes, or bike paths, or places where you're allowed to ride on the sidewalk. You can't really keep up in traffic, but it's surprisingly zippy. With all that said, I mean, this motor will get you up to that 19 mile per hour top speed in like 5 seconds or so if you've got it on the highest speed setting. Now it's got 3 speed settings out of the box. There's the walk mode, which is just going real slow, drive mode, which will get you up to about half speed, and then it's got like an S or a sport mode, which lets you get up to the top speed. Now after you've ridden the scooter for at least a kilometer, then you can unlock the speed mode, and that is basically just unlocking the acceleration capabilities. So you can't go any faster, but you can get up to that top speed of 19 miles per hour much more quickly. Acceleration is very zippy in that mode. A lot of fun. Of course, that's going to drain the battery faster. Now this is a dual suspension here, and these are polymer shock absorbers, which I've never actually ridden on before, and they feel awesome. They're very smooth. They're completely silent. They're a lot just better performing, I think, than like coil or spring shock absorbers. And I really like this kind of single swing arm cantilever design on here. It's a very sleek, futuristic look, and it feels great. Not a ton of travel on here. You're looking at about 60 millimeters of travel. So good for in the city, not an off-road thing, but that's gonna kind of be the theme here for everything on the scooter. Got full coverage, plastic fenders on here, so if you do have to ride in the rain, that'll keep you, keep you nice and dry, or at least relatively. I've actually had to ride through some rain and puddles already. You can see all the mud splatters on here, and I didn't get any on me, which is pretty cool. Let's see, let's talk brakes on here, because you've got a triple braking system, which is great for safety. It feels nice when you're riding it. In the back here, there is this mechanical disc brake, 120 millimeter rotor on here, so that's a pretty solid amount of stopping power. And then up front, you've also got a mechanical brake, but instead of a disc brake, it is a drum brake, so it's kind of built into the wheel there. Now drum brakes aren't quite as effective as disc brakes, but since you've got both of them combined here, that provides good stopping power. And you've actually got a third braking system, which is the electronic braking system. So this is actually kind of the primary braking system on this scooter here. The electronic brakes just uses the motor to slow it down, and it's, in addition to stopping the scooter, this actually also provides regeneration capabilities, and you can adjust just how strong it is, you know, how much you want to regenerate power from the brakes, which is going to be a more aggressive stopping experience, versus you can dial that back, and then the brakes will be a little bit easier on the touch. When you squeeze the brake levers, you give them just a little bit of a squeeze, and the first thing you're going to activate is going to be the electronic brakes. Then if you squeeze harder, you will hit that mechanical brake, whether it's the drum brake up front or the disc brake in the rear. So if you really need to stop in the hurry, you can hammer down on those levers and stop very quickly. It's great to have this kind of triple redundant system here, because if one or even two of those braking systems fail, you've still got a third one to bring you to a stop. So again, that just kind of highlights the, I guess, like the safety first design on this thing, rigid construction. We've got the good brakes, we've got excellent lighting systems on here. I'm going to fire up the display just so I can show them to you. So you hold down the center button here. Now this is not a very bright display, which is kind of a bummer. I mean, it's easy enough for me to see, but it's, it's shady out here right now. Sunlight, it's a little bit difficult. But anyways, we've got the, the speed right here at front and center. You can see the drive mode. We can see that the lights are already on. So the headlight is positioned up high in the handlebars, which is awesome. So many scooters put the headlight down here low, and that's just a bad position for it, because that's hard for people to see, especially people in cars. They just are maybe not going to notice your lights when they're down that low. So this is awesome. It's a nice wide beam too. It really does a great job illuminating the road. Solid headlight. And then we've got tail light back here. Now there's not much you can do for this. It has to be down low, which is kind of a bummer, but it's nice and bright. It has brake light activation as well, so if you squeeze the brake levers, then it will flash the entire time you have the brake levers depressed, which is great. It lets people know that you're slowing down. So let's demo those turn signals real quick. Now this is a kind of a strange design, because when you turn the signal on here, it beeps. There's a little flashing indicator and it's beeping, which you think is like, okay, that's good, it'll keep me from forgetting that it's on. I just leave my blinkers on all the time, but it doesn't stay on. As you can hear, it just turned off. So after about 5 seconds, the blinkers do turn off, so the beeping doesn't really seem necessary. I guess it's nice to know that it's on. But anyways, when we hit this, the turn signal is only back here on the rear, but it's designed so that you can see it from any angle. Now it's not very bright from the front or the side, so during the daytime those are kind of hard to see, but at night that's some good safety. And like I said, they are down low, which makes them a little bit harder to see, but hey, it's still a turn signal. It definitely helps out. To kind of round out the rest of the safety features on here, there is a bell. Pretty basic. This is good for alerting other pedestrians or people on bikes and scooters that you're coming through, but it's not super loud. No one in a car is going to hear that. And one last thing, the throttle doesn't work until you actually get the scooter rolling. So when you're stopped, if you hit the throttle, nothing's going to happen. You have to get going not very fast. Like you have to push off and start the scooter before you can hit the throttle. Once you get going, over like half a mile an hour, the throttle will work. This is a great safety feature so that you don't hit the throttle, while it's just sitting here and it accidentally takes off on you. But also it's a good idea to push, kickstart the scooter before using the throttle, because that makes sure that you have your weight on it. If you're standing next to the scooter, with like you've got one foot on it and one foot on the ground, and you try to hit the throttle and take off, that's actually kind of dangerous, especially on a more powerful scooter, because it's going to kind of take off from under you. It might pop a little bit of a wheelie because your weight isn't holding it down. So it's a good idea to get moving first. Let's see. So let's talk about the portability convenience factor for this scooter. It is folding, and it's actually pretty easy to carry because of how it's balanced. Now it weighs 65 pounds, which is a little bit hefty for a scooter, but you've got a pretty high capacity battery in there of around 700 watt hours, which should be able to get you, at least 20 miles or so of range, maybe more if you're not riding too aggressively. But it does, it does weigh a bit. So let's fold it down just so you can see what that looks like. So we'll pop this up, fold it down. You have to fold it back all the way, and then it'll just start folding itself. Now it does have a hook down here. Let me fold that out so that it can secure in the folded position. So when you have it folded down, it takes up less space, great for storage, and definitely easier for carrying. I mean, you can grab it from right about the center point right here, and it's very nicely balanced, easy to hold. So despite that 65-pound curb weight, pretty easy to carry up and down the stairs. I like that it's easy to lock as well. There's this excellent part of the frame right here where you can put through a U-lock, which is, you know, more secure than a cable lock. And so, you know, that's what I use when I lock this up. And I feel that people aren't going to mess with it. And the charging port is positioned right here, and this is a slick charging port. It's magnetic, so you just, you know, once you hold the charger up to it, it'll kind of clip on there, and then if you are done charging, you just pull on it, pops right off. Great safety feature, because if something, you know, hits the cord while it's charging, it falls over or something like that, it's a breakaway, kind of like a MagSafe on a MacBook. Let's talk about the smartphone app, because it's got quite a lot of good features. Let me turn my brightness up all the way. So it shows you your exact battery percentage, which is nice, because on the display here you only get, you know, 5 bars. It's not super precise. So here I can see I've got exactly 84% left. There's a cruise control feature that you can enable, which I haven't used yet, but it's pretty straightforward. When you have it enabled, then you can just hold down the throttle for 8 seconds. It'll beep to let you know cruise control is enabled, and you can just let go of the throttle. So you've got a long ride without any stops on it. That's a nice feature, and then you can just hit the throttle again or the brakes to disable that. Let's see, you can switch which mode the scooter is in on here as well. Oh, I gotta get it connected. Okay, there we go, we're reconnected. Okay, so you can switch it between, you know, walk mode, drive mode, sport mode, speed mode. I got it in speed mode because that's pretty fun. It's the fastest one, or the best acceleration. There's a sort of an alarm mode as well, which, you know, I guess if you can't find your scooter at the rack or something, you could use that. And if you hit that, it's gonna start beeping, and, you know, the lights start flashing. So and it only does it for a few seconds, but you know, I guess if you're having trouble finding your scooter, that could come in kind of handy, or if someone's trying to mess with it and you want to scare them off, maybe. Let's see what else we can do in here. We can go to vehicle setup, and then you can change it, you know, over from metric to imperial, which I'm actually going to do. I thought I did that already. You can also dial in your energy recovery here, which is just how much it regenerates from those electronic brakes. It's in medium right now. If you turn it up to high, then it's just going to be a little bit more aggressive with the electronic braking, but you're also going to regenerate more battery capacity when you do, which is pretty nice. And then you can get a lot more range out of it that way. I'm actually going to leave it on high. We'll just see how aggressive that is when we do our test ride here. All right, we're about to jump into the test ride. One more thing I forgot to mention though, they actually include this with the scooter. It's like a little, you know, mini luggage case thing. That this is like a sort of like a stem mount bag, which I've seen on other scooters and I like, but it doesn't actually work great here because it's just difficult to mount on the stem right here, because well, the cables are coming out right here, and also since the handlebars are set more forward, it's difficult to, you know, it's going to be like kind of mounted at this weird angle like this. You can't mount it on the back right here because it's not going to reach. It looks super janky and just doesn't really mount securely, which is why I don't have it on the scooter, and probably also why you don't see it in any of their marketing photos on their website. It doesn't really fit, but hey, you know, it's a cool little hard shell case. So, okay, we're gonna do some test riding. We're on Colorado State University campus right now, so we'll do some riding around here. There's a lot of good multi-use trails and, you know, various places we can ride. We'll ride around in the city a bit to put this to the test in the environment it's designed to be ridden in, and see how it does. All right, so we're getting fired up here. Press the power button. Now, this is, it's definitely reverting to metric every time that I power it on. It's back to kilometers per hour again, which is pretty frustrating. So let's come back in here, vehicle setup. I think I gotta tell it to connect, maybe. Hello. All right, there we go. We come in here to setup, switch it back over to Imperial, and it's switched. So it seems like it's not saving. Let's just turn it off manually and then on again just to check. And yep, back to kilometers per hour. All right, so that's and the app is not auto-connecting either, so probably some room for improvement in the app design here. Let's come in here, we'll change it back to Imperial yet again. And energy recovery is actually turned off now too, which is interesting. I definitely had that on and on high. So it seems like the app just isn't, you know, remembering anything that I saved for it, which is, yeah, not great. So hopefully they can improve that in a future update. Anyways, we've got it turned on. Let's see, so you short press the button on here to turn the lights on or off, and actually now that I turn the lights on, the display is quite a bit brighter, which is good. Like this should be a lot easier to see, maybe a little bit difficult in bright daylight, but hey, that's better. I'm going to turn the lights on though for safety purposes. Now we short press or double tap the button to switch between modes. I'm going to switch it over to walk mode just because I actually haven't tried that yet, and I'm kind of curious to see just how, you know, fast or slow it is. So let's get it going. So I got to kick start it to get going, and then I can start using it. Walk mode is 3 miles per hour, so not very exciting. Probably, you know, only designed for walking, which makes sense. All right, let's double tap that button here, put it into drive mode, and we'll see how fast we can get going in drive mode. Looks like that's going to cap out at you know, right about 9 miles an hour. So this would be a good setting to use if you're in a high pedestrian foot traffic area. There's a lot of people, so you don't want to be, you know, speeding past everybody. So you can kind of slow it down and take it easy. And you know, this would obviously also be pretty good on conserving your battery, but it's not a whole lot of fun. So we're going to bump that on up to sport mode. Now this unlocks the top speed, has a bit more zippy acceleration as well. So if we let's just slow down all the way, and then we'll hit it full throttle, see how long it takes us to get up there to the top speed, and 18, there we go, 19, top speed. So pretty zippy acceleration, even though you know, we're not even in speed mode, just in sport mode. Amazingly comfy. Like this, it's such a smooth, silent ride too. Like you don't hear the motor at all, you don't hear the suspension. Tires are pretty much silent on the pavement. Like it's a very refined ride. Okay, where am I? Let's get back on the trail here. So I want to try out the electronic brakes here and see just how aggressive they feel. So we're going, you know, right about the top speed, 18, 19 miles per hour. So I'm just gonna squeeze on the brakes just a little bit, you know, and they kick in pretty good. Like I did not put a whole lot of pressure on the brakes, and it brought it to a pretty quick stop. And it feels like it, you know, it doesn't coast all that well. Maybe I wonder if the regenerative braking kicks in even just when it's coasting. Probably not. Yeah, let's do one more test just of the electronic brakes. And again, to do that, I'm just squeezing on the levers just a little bit, not enough to activate the mechanical brakes for either wheel. But yeah, you can stop pretty well just doing that. And of course, you know, if you really need to stop and hurry, let's try all the braking systems out. I'm going to squeeze a lot harder on them. We're going full speed right here, and then we'll hit the brakes. Stop on the dime, pretty much. You know, it helps that we're not going super fast. But yeah, it's great to, you know, just feel some good, excellent stopping power there. Definitely helps to ride with more confidence. Yeah, I'm not sure I actually like the whole beeping turning signal thing. Mostly just because it gets people's attention, and I feel like it might be kind of confusing. When I've been using the turn signal and it starts beeping, then I feel like the people around me start, like, you know, looking around and stopping. You know, what's that? You know, why is something beeping? So it might be adding, you know, more confusion than it is actually helping. All right, I wanted to come over on this road because it's a really rough road. It's very, like, kind of rough, uneven asphalt with lots of cracks and bumps in it. I hate riding my longboard on this road because it's awful. It vibrates so much, and you got to watch out for all these cracks and bumps. So I was curious to see how this shock absorber on here is going to do, and so far it feels excellent, like amazingly smooth. I only feel a very small amount of vibration getting to the handlebars, much better than the average scooter. Even, you know, I've ridden on some pretty hefty dual motor or dual suspension off-road scooters lately that did not feel this good. So definitely a yes vote for me for the polymer shock absorbers. Like they feel awesome. It does feel pretty stable at top speed as well. You know, I'm not feeling any, you know, no speed wobbles, no death wobbles. We're not really going fast enough for that to be an issue, but it does feel like a very stable platform. You know, I feel great at this speed, and if you get up to a higher speed, you know, maybe coasting downhill, you should feel fine there as well. All right, now let's try out that speed mode. So we'll double tap this, and it says X on the display to let us know that it's kicked in. And we've got a bike lane here, which is perfect. So let's, I want to go from as close to a dead stop as I can. We do have to get rolling, so I'm just gonna give it a kick and then go full throttle. We'll see. Whoa, yeah, this is zippy. We're definitely, look at that, we're already at 19 miles an hour. That was, what, like 3 seconds? So, very zippy acceleration in speed mode. That feels awesome. It definitely feels like this motor could reach much higher speeds than this. You know, I'm sure they've got it locked down just for, you know, safety reasons, especially if you're riding in town, high pedestrian traffic areas. You don't want to be zipping around at 30 miles an hour anyways, and that can get a little sketchy on a scooter. This is kind of the max speed for, you know, safety, both for you and others. Man, I love that acceleration. It feels so good. I'm gonna use those electronic brakes here and then just do that again. Oh, it takes off. You really got to hold on. It feels pretty good riding with traffic on streets like this. You know, the speed limit over here is 30 miles per hour, 25 on a lot of streets. And so I wouldn't be riding with traffic most of the time. Now, we've got a great city for this. We've got bicycle lanes on the right side of the road for most of our roads. But sometimes you do have to merge into traffic, you know, if you want to turn left, you know, depending on where you're going. So it's good to know that you can do that. At least we got the lights. I love the suspension on here. It's such a, it feels very different than coil suspension. I'm trying to think how to describe it. It's I guess it just is like a lot more absorbent, and it's like a very smooth, smooth absorbing feel. That's my 2 cents. The throttle is pretty well tuned on here too. It's a good smooth power delivery. So even if you're going slow, you've got it in speed mode, and then you hit throttle. Woo! Yikes, I guess I stand corrected on that. That thing really took off. Got a little bit of damage on our back fender there. Whoopsies. Now I was kind of leaning back. I had a lot of weight on the back footrest. So definitely don't ride like that in sport mode. What I was trying to say is that this throttle is a very like smooth roll-on of power, but man, that thing just took off on me. I'm gonna shift my weight a little bit more forward, and then we'll do that again. That feels a lot better. So, you know, just remember that if you're riding in the highest speed mode there, you can wheelie this thing and fall off the back. So lean forward when you're accelerating. Whew. Let me switch it back down to just the sport mode. So this is the default top speed mode unless you unlock it in the app. And that's probably why they, you know, have it kind of locked down like that for the top one, because it is just a little bit peppy. If we're in this mode and I just hit the full throttle, it's a lot smoother of a, I don't know, a roll-on of power. It's not quite as abrupt and jarring. And so even if have my weight, you know, leaning pretty far back and I hit it down, I don't feel like it's going to wheelie or get out from under me. So the sport mode, you know, the standard top speed, probably a safe bet for most people here. It's a little bit safer. You can still get up to the top speed. Acceleration honestly still feels pretty darn good. Hello. All right, so I've said it a couple times, it's not an off-road scooter, but you know, sometimes you have to off-road for just a little bit, or just, you know, ride on some really rough terrain. So we're going to take it into the alleyway here. It's just, you know, it's got potholes. It's not really paved or not completely paved, just to see, you know, how does the suspension do. Now we've got these self-healing tires on here, so we don't really have to worry about punctures, which is awesome. And you know, this is another one of those roads that's like, I don't really like to ride down it on most things, both because it's rough and also just because I worry about getting flats riding around in alleyways. But this feels pretty good in here, honestly, and traction is feeling fine. You know, we're not doing any crazy turns. But yeah, no, that feels pretty good. Let's zip around through it again. Nice tight turning radius too. It's very maneuverable. So I mean, honestly, this feels pretty good out here. You know, if you wanted to do some light trail adventuring, you know, just for fun, mix things up instead of always riding in the city, then it feels like it does pretty good. Nice big pothole there. There's some really rough patches in here. It feels great, man. This is pretty wild. So I guess maybe that's what they were trying to say with calling it, you know, the urban SUV. Is that yeah, just ride anywhere in the city, pavement, alleyways, potholes. Definitely a very nimble feeling scooter. Very agile. Definitely designed well as far as that goes. I mean, I can get such a crazy tight turning radius on this thing. I could almost turn around on a sidewalk without having to put my foot down, which is impressive. Like, it feels very stable. All right, my friends, that is a wrap for today. So thanks for coming along with me to check out the Yadea ElitePrime. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You know, help me grow my channel. And if you didn't enjoy it, then chime in the comments section. Let me know how I can improve these videos. Now, be sure also to check out the description for the full written review. I've got even more information. I've got all the detailed specs. I've also collected reviews from other reviewers around the web so you can check out other expert opinions. All right, guys, thanks again. Ride safe. I will see you in the next video.